This is the Momentum Podcast.
This is a very special episode of the Momentum Podcast. Today, we're giving you a peek behind the curtain into our membership. This clip was recorded during a broadcast of one of our company's expert calls. So once a month, we bring in an expert in a specific area of business to speak to our membership. Our members are able to ask specific questions and hear some tactics and strategies that our experts teach. Today, we're bringing you the expert call with Marley, Jaxx on how to increase your impact with video. See, when you have video on your side, you can increase your impact to make a contribution and get your tribe into momentum. On this call, Alex and Marley talked about how to get comfortable on camera, how to develop a process for being effective on video, and how to tell stories that will draw your audience into your message. I hope you enjoy.
I'm Alex Sharfin, and this is the Momentum Podcast, made for empire builders, game changers, trailblazers, shot takers, record breakers, world makers, and creators of all kinds. Those among us who can't turn it off and don't know why anyone would want to. We challenge complacency, destroy apathy, and we are obsessed with creating momentum so we can roll over bureaucracy and make our greatest contribution. Sure, we pay attention to their rules, but only so that we can bend them, break them, then rewrite them around our own will. We don't accept our destiny, we define it. We don't understand defeat because you only lose if you stop, and we don't know how. While the rest of the world strives for average and clings desperately to the status quo, we are the minority, the few, who are willing to hallucinate there could be a better future. And instead of just daydreaming of what could be, we endure the vulnerability and exposure it takes to make it real. We are the evolutionary hunters, clearly the most important people in the world, because entrepreneurs are the only source of consistent, positive human evolution, and we always will be. First, I want to give you a quick introduction to Marley. So Marley and I have been friends for a few years now, and we were heavily involved in the ClickFunnels organization together, and Marley, I remember that Marley let me know one time. She's like, hey, I'm coming into town and I'd love to come by and help you with your video. And, at the time she was helping us kind of figure out the tactics behind YouTube. And she said, I think I can help you maybe like film some videos or with some tactics for videos. And in the moment, my ego was like, yeah, sure you can. And in all honesty, like to be very candid, in the back of my mind, I'm like, oh, it'll be nice to see Marley. And if she wants to give me some advice, that would be great too. But at that time, I'd sold hundreds of millions of dollars on TV. And that's not an exaggeration. I actually had a $29 million day. I had done, thousands of hours of live television on sales and then tons on the news. I don't know how many thousands of keynote speeches. I mean, when you talk about 10,000 hours speaking, I've probably had 10,000 hours on stage and then probably close to 10,000 hours in front of a camera. And in the first hour, Marley and I were together, I was like, oh, she already told me like 2 or 3 things that are going to change how I do videos from now on. And I think that this is why that happened, is that Marley has this very specific expertise in helping entrepreneurs who are amazing convey that on video and not just say the right things, not just like be there and be comfortable, but also having the systems and structures so that people will listen to your video, react to the video, and then keep moving forward with you. And so that's why we asked Marley to come on as an expert. I think she's like one of the best in the world at this, and I'm so excited. So Marley, welcome to the expert call. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me. Anything for you and for this group. I've been part of this. I was the first member. I just want to throw that out there. So you guys are just in such good company and do everything that Alex tells you to. He has changed my life in so many ways.
Thank you, Marley. I really appreciate that. It's pretty difficult not to be on video as a business owner these days. Like you can do it. You can accept video. You can just say, I'm not going to do it. You can have somebody else do it for you. But in my opinion, I think it really challenges like how you build rapport with your audience as a company, because today, especially in an economic climate like we're in, people don't buy from companies, they buy from people they trust. And that's just true. If you talk to people who invest in Berkshire Hathaway, in the conversation, Warren Buffett's name comes up. There's not a coincidence there. There's trust with Warren Buffett, so they invest in Berkshire Hathaway. That's how it is for every business out there. Look at Buffett. He's terrible on video, like absolutely atrocious. it seems like he doesn't even know where the camera is, but people watch him for 3 hours because they want to get the information that he has. And so a lot of you have that same type of information. So Marley, let's talk about how you get started. Like, do you suggest people publish every day for 30 days?
I mean, yeah, that's part of putting in the reps, getting started. And I mean, we hear from like Russell Brunson and Steve Larson that are like, you got to publish your face off, like show up every day. And yes, that's important, but let's also talk about the intention behind that it's not just like, okay, I'm going to show up. Like, let's first start with like, who are we talking to? Why? What do we want to get across here? Like one of my slogans is impact driven, profit focused. So like I'm reverse engineering what's the impact I want to make in this content and how am I leading this towards profit? Is there a call to action that I can put in here for a lead magnet or go to this other video or go to this sales page? So before you turn on that camera is what is the message I want to get across here? How do I tap into the heart and the humor or the authority and the leadership? Like what is that you want to get across and who are you speaking to? And if you need to visualize your best friend or your mom or someone to help you feel comfortable, do that.
I usually visualize one of our members. I'm like, I'm talking to this one person about this one thing. Marley, it's interesting that you said, you need to get ready before you turn on the camera because I'm so glad you said it because a bunch of other people are in that club of like publish every day. And I am too. Like I tell people all the time, I think the easiest way to do it is get an Instagram account and do Instagram stories. They're 10 or 15 seconds. You can suck all day on Instagram stories. Literally nobody cares. Like they go away after 24 hours. So even if it's really embarrassing, it doesn't matter. And so I usually tell people to start with Instagram stories and then kind of move on. But here's the issue that I've seen for the past like couple years is that all these entrepreneurs have been told publish every day without intention. And it's bad. Like you shouldn't publish every day without intention. You shouldn't just like experiment with the world and on Facebook Lives without having an intention. So Marley, I think like one of the things we should overtly say is when you record a video, it's totally okay to sit down and write an outline and make notes, right?
Yeah, you should. And what I see a lot of entrepreneurs do is, they'll turn on the camera and they'll be like, okay, hi guys, hi. Or like, here's another thing.
Sorry, I've just seen that video so many times. Or this one where it's like, hi, wait, is it working?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, wait, are you there?
Or how many people start their videos with, hey guys, just popping in real fast.
Right.
Hey guys, just jumping in real quick. And
by the way, you have male and female audiences. So, hey guys is like the worst way to start anything, right?
True. Yeah. But we see everyone. So many people start their videos with just popping in real fast. Just wanted to talk to you about why. It's not just popping in hook story offer. It's hooks like get right into it. You'll never see me with like, sometimes I'll say, hey friends, and then go right into it. But just popping in to say, and it's like, it seems like that's how people are ramping themselves up before they get into the content. So that's where like, I'll have the camera and I'll be like, okay, here's where I'm going to start. What's my first line that's a hook? Okay, start, and then go right into it. So as much as we see everyone else doing things, like try not to get into the monkey see, monkey do, like start right with your content.
Okay, Marley, I want to understand how to do that. So I always tell people that where you really helped me was I think what I was doing with video before you and I spent that day together is in my head, I was like, here's who I'm talking to. This is a problem I'm going to solve. This is a conversation I'm going to have more or less. And then I'd been doing it long enough. And I think my voice was unique enough that I still got a ton of video views. That dynamically changed after I worked with you. So let's go through, share the framework, share a framework, because I know you have a bunch, but share one that somebody can use to like be confident hitting live and go for it. Like what are the steps they should have in the video?
Yeah. And what you said isn't wrong because who am I talking to? What problem am I going to solve? You should always know that. Especially what false beliefs am I going to break? Like what's the story I need to tell that's better than their story, the story they're telling themselves, which is their false beliefs. So when we start a video, our framework is introduction, which is the hook. It's not like, hey, it's Marley. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're talking about this thing. It's going
right there. You lost them, right?
You have 3 seconds.
Yeah. Okay. So tell us how, give us a good hook. Like, what does that look like, Marley? What is the first thing you should say to get engagement?
Yeah. So let me give you an example. Like Christy Code Red, one of my clients, we have a video where she's talking about, you ever go to the grocery store and you're so hungry and like you know that you have a meal plan to follow, but you just want to put everything in the cart and you don't know how to get out of this grocery store under budget and like within your meal plan. Well, today I'm going to show you the exact, like I'm going to give you my exact list. And actually, if you click the link below, you can actually print out my grocery list. And so there's two things we did there. We hooked them in with the pain points about like, oh yeah, groceries, go to the grocery store when you're hungry. That's a no-no. That's a problem. Trying to get in under budget, not, damaging your wallet, and sticking to your nutrition, your meal plan. And then I also tease the call to action right at the beginning because people don't like, we can talk about retention, but people don't always stay to the end. And there's also distracting things like cat videos and Russell Brunson and burning books on the internet and all these things that will, you have 3 seconds. So you need to capture their attention quickly that even if they didn't watch the full video, they're like, oh, I want that grocery list. So they click the link and they get the thing that the lead magnet should be the next logical step or something that relates to the rest of the value. So in the video, you're giving the steps to XYZ, but then the download is like the framework, the more in depth, which also helps people. Sometimes they're like, do I always give a lead magnet? I don't want to be spammy. You're not spammy, you're giving value. Okay, so you've introduced yourself.
So wait, I want to stop you for 1 second. So I want to know that because I'm going to draw a lot out of you, Marley, like, because there's so much that you understand about this. And I don't know if you've noticed, I'm taking notes because I kind of look at this as like a refresh from the one day. So I was like, when Katie was like, what expert calls do we need? I really would like to ask Marley some questions. So this is selfishly for me too. So pain point is a type of hook. What are other hooks you can use?
I also love going into like personal stories. Like if I share a story right from the beginning, I talk about vulnerability and charisma and storytelling a lot. And so I might go right into a story that I'll be like, January 2020 was the most painful time of my life. I was really scared that I was on a stage in front of 5,000 people and I needed to get vulnerable. And I shared in front of 5,000 people that 3 weeks earlier, my marriage ended. Boom. What happened next?
Yeah, like each time you do that, I want you to keep going through the video because it's compelling. Like that is super compelling.
Yeah. And so it's like the soap opera sequence, or it's right, the cliffhanger right before commercial break. If you can make the beginning of your videos feel like the cliffhanger before a commercial break in a soap opera, you will have people more retained throughout.
Okay, that's awesome. All right, so there's the intro or hook. Then you tease the call to action at the beginning.
Yep.
And then what's the next step?
Then if this is a YouTube video, I also like to ask them here to subscribe. So I'm like, by the way, I put videos out like this out every single week. So I would love for you to subscribe to my channel.
Okay. So if YouTube, you ask for a subscription, if it's a Facebook Live or something else, you just skip that step.
Just skip it. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So now what's the next step?
Then you go into your steps. And I do like step 1, put it into bullet points. When you're outlining your content, just have your bullet points so it's not a ramble. Because if you're confused with how you're delivering it, or you're like, okay, what do I talk about next? And you don't know, you'll just keep talking until you think about it. And then it's confusing for your audience and it doesn't keep them retained. Another little ninja hack is when you're talking about this, you can introduce, I'm going to give you my 5 steps to whatever. And something that I like to say to keep people retained is number 5 is the most important one and the one that most people miss. So make sure you watch the whole thing.
Okay. So it's almost like when you're doing a perfect webinar and you get them to stay till the end, you're throwing that step in there at the beginning of like, hey, the most important things at the end of this video.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to give you all the steps that you need to achieve this result. But number 5 is the one that if you miss this whole thing, like it doesn't come together. So make sure you stick around for number 5.
What's the thought process as you actually go through the content? Like what is the thought as you convey the actual information?
So when I'm sharing, like everything changed in my business and my content when I went from strategy and tactics to stories and strategies and tactics. So if I'm not spending enough time in the story, it's just facts. And facts are great. It makes me look like I know what I'm talking about, which I do, thank you. But the stories are what gets people intrigued and hooked and going and resonating like, yes, me too. And the best entrepreneurs are the ones that spend more time in the stories because then that makes people buy in. Like they buy into the reason why I should listen to this because look at how much this person went through to learn this, or like, look, I'm going to buy in because I just understand the result that I'm going to get because this person is what I want my after picture to be. So when I'm outlining my videos too, like I'm looking at the strategies and tactics that I have to teach, but I'm like, what story can I relate to it? So if I'm talking about vulnerability, I pretty much always talk about when my marriage ended, because that's what people are like, whoa, that sounds like a crazy experience. And it's not a story about divorce. It's a story about perseverance. So also know that when you're sharing your stories, it doesn't have to be, it's all in the way that you share your story, because I didn't want to be known as the divorce girl. I wanted to be known as like, she powered through, she was strong, she could do anything, and you can too.
Yeah, no, and I feel like you conveyed that over and over again. Okay, so you get into the subject matter. You want to tease the end at the beginning of the subject matter by keeping them around. Then you go through the 5 steps. Then what do you do?
After that, you recap the solution that you've just provided. So you're like, all right, so I've given you A, B, C, and D. And if you implement this, this is the result you're going to get. You're basically just recapping. And then you're going to lead out your outro with, again, your call to action. And remember at the beginning of this video, I mentioned to you that I'm going to actually give you my lead magnet, no, call it lead magnet, my free, whatever the thing is, hook them in again. So you're like, I just gave you this, but if you want, I'm actually going to give you this. So for me, I might do, I share with you how we create all of this content in one day. But how about if I could teach you how to create 60 days of social media and video content in 8 hours? I have a 25-minute masterclass. You can click the link below and watch the full thing and be able to do it this weekend. So it's telling them, I taught you this. I taught you a little snippet, but I'm going to give you more if you click the link below.
Okay. So I want to go through the outline and see if we missed anything, just so that, because I know there's people taking notes at home. So the first step is the intro or the hook. There is no other preamble besides that. Like you just jump right into it the second that the video starts or it goes live. And then that way you're not losing people. You tease the call to action that's going to happen at the end. Like, hey, I wrote a book about this. I'll tell you more about it later, towards the end of this video, and I'll tell you how you could order it or something like that.
How you can get a free copy or whatever.
You can get a free copy. Then if it's YouTube, then just briefly ask for a subscription. Say, hey, and by the way, I put out videos like this every week. Please subscribe. Then you get into the actual subject matter and you share or teach or convey. But what you're doing is you're looking at what is the tactic and what story can I tell around the tactic. And then once you get through the subject matter, you recap the solution. You tell them what happens if they do what you just told them again. So you say like, here's what I recapped. Here's what will happen if you implement it. And then you move to the call to action.
That's right.
Okay. This is an awesome outline.
Alex.
What was that?
You can teach this now.
Oh, I teach what I teach. You're going to teach this now. I'm really happy with you teaching it to everybody, including me.
Thank you for listening to this special presentation of the Momentum Podcast. If you're ready to take the next step, we have a very special opportunity for you. Our team has been hard at work putting together a presentation for how you can grow and scale your business predictably without feeling like you have to do it all yourself. Alex is going to be giving this presentation soon. You can register today by going to scharfen.com/grow to reserve your spot now. Go to scharfen.com/grow.